Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone. I am fine and I hope the same from you. Let me begin with a very small story. There were two persons, namely A and B. Both wanted to go to gym and lose their weight by 1 kg. A and B both decided to fill a form for gym and they both joined gym. A was very consistent in his approach that he used to daily go to gym for 2 hours and he used to work out and even used to maintain the diet. Whereas B used to be very irregular, like us, today if we have started a chapter, tomorrow again we used to close and open a new chapter. That chapter remains pending. The same way, B used to go today to gym for 2 hours and then tomorrow he is lazy. He used to skip the gym and even after working out, he used to eat all the junk food. Samosa, pani puri, pav bhaji, everything. So now guess by the end of the month whether it's A or B who might have lost weight by 1 kg. Of course, it's A who has lost his weight by 1 kg by the end of the month. Why? Because consistency is the key to success. This applies to all CA students also. If you are consistent in your approach, then no doubt that this consistency will be seen in your results. You have to be consistent. For example, a student takes audit standards and he feels that in 2 days I'll complete all the audit standards. So starting day, he'll be very enthusiastic that I have to complete. And the next day, all the 700 series are left pending. All the 7 series. Because he's already bored reading all the standards. I know. You guys also might have faced that some or the other thing. Because what happens is, whenever you are not consistent, either you might have planned in such a way that take daily one standard and take some another chapter together so that continuously you can go in a very systematic approach. So when you are not consistent in your plan, then your plan fails and then it affects the results. So wherever you are or whatever field you are or whatever position you are in, always note it down that consistency is the only key to success. If you are consistent in your approach, then no doubt there will be a very good result. So let us quickly begin the session. Myself CA Preethi Lunia, your mentor for today's session. And if you haven't watched the session 1, you can go to the YouTube channel and you can find it over there. This session is based on the tips to score marks in practical subjects. Most of the students whom I have mentored have always asked me that I expected 80 plus marks in accounts or taxation, but I get only 35 plus in exams. Why is it so? It is because there are very minute mistakes which you doesn't look at it, but when you see it deeply, you can understand that they were very minor which have lost all your marks. So let us quickly start. Presentation of practical papers. Whenever you present a practical paper, always make sure that in a question accounts, whether if it is asked draw the balance sheet, then most of the students in hurry, the last minute hurry, they just write balance sheet and solve the sum. It's not the way. You have to write balance sheet of so and so company as on so and so date. This is very important because the marks are based even on the heading also. So most of the students ignore the balance sheet, ignore the heading and they simply go on writing things. So that will affect your marks for sure. And in case of journal entries, what the student is doing is simply writing the journal entry and coming off. Instead of noting it in the heading that this journal entry is posted in the books of so and so. So you have to mention that in the books of whom you are posting the journal entries. headings are very much important, and proper format of balance sheet is also important. You have to properly categorize balance sheet items, whether it's an asset, liability, and in a sequential order given. Do not club or mix up anything which makes a bad impression to the examiner. Presentation is always linked with confidence. If you have a look at the below two images, in these two images you can see that the first image is very clear. The student has written it with full confidence and there are no mistakes. But in the second one, if you see, student was doubtful of the amount and he just striked it out. He was striking and again trying, striking, trying. If you do this striking, trying in the exam, this will impact your marks, because the examiner comes to know that you are not confident in your approach. You don't have confidence about the sum. So the way you present will also tell how confident you are. For example, if I tell, impression in our real life itself, if a scoop of ice cream is given to you, it's okay. But the same scoop, if it is given in a chocolate cone or strawberry or vanilla cone, and if you have put some choco chips and added some flavors, nuts and all, then how good you feel? Of course, you will choose that cone which is having a very good impression. The same way here, if your answers are very neat and clean and very good presented, obviously the next person is having a good impression on you, and it's very important for the examiner to have a good impression on your paper, because that will affect your marks. If there are more strikings, he will be confused whether which answer is correct. So always try to write exams as well, because if you write test series or anything before, then you will understand that these are the mistakes which I am making, and that will not be repeated in exams. So always try to avoid strikings. Maximum strikings, try to avoid it. So next, move on to the next. Numeric errors. What happens is, most of the students in a hurry or by mistake, they in a tense, whenever they are in a tense, what they do is they just write balance sheet, start writing assets, liabilities, but they forget to write amount in rupees. They simply write 450 less 170, but actually that 450 is amount in thousand. It's 4,50,000. But you haven't mentioned anywhere that this amount is in rupees. So what the examiner thinks is this is 450, and there you lose the marks. If you observe the sheet here, the student has missed amount in rupees, whether it's lakh, thousand, and this is affecting the marks. It is mandatory to write what unit of measurement you are taking in the sum. So always remember that point whenever you are attempting sums. Next mistake, or the mistake most students do is formula. In SFM or any financial management subject, you have many formulas and you don't have time to write all the formulas. Most of the students, what they do, I know this sum perfectly, so they will start writing it neatly, writing every formula in a working note. And that same formula again in the sum, in the question asked, they will again mention it over there. So observe at this answer sheet where the student was very clever that in working notes he skipped the formula, but in the main answer he noted the formula. So it's same, right? One time it's written, it's sufficient. Always do not write here and there everywhere the same formula. It's like, you are writing because you don't know the answer and you want the mark. Go directly by what is asked. Do not simply write anything, any formula and link it over here and there that you know these formulas. No one is going to give mark if you write any other formula and come. Like how much ever knowledge you have, but the examiner will always see what the question is asked and what you have answered. That much is enough. So most of the students, what they do is they think that we have to write in working notes also and we have to write again in some. If you write one time in a question, it's enough. Do not, every working note, do not carry down the formula and write. It's not needed. I hope you got it. Speed. Here, whenever there is a 2 to 5 you have exam, suppose, then 4:45 I have seen most of the students leaving 30 to 40 marks, and then after coming out of the examination hall, they feel like I have left 30 marks, and they feel upset, and the next exam they feel whether I have to write it or not. Why this speed is lacking? Because you solve unnecessary parts in the exam. When the question is asked, calculate so and so, calculate profit before tax, then stop your answer with before tax only. Do not write solving it profit after tax, retained earnings or whatever. When they have asked you solve only this much, solve only that much. Do not be over smart and solve all the parts which are not asked and which was there when you were practicing. Suppose a sum has come in the examination hall, the same you have practiced it. So what do you think? I have practiced it, so I'll mention everything what I have practiced and I would not look at the question. This is the major blunder mistake students do, and it wastes lot of time. You get no marks for writing anything additional other than asked. So here your speed also decreases because you have wasted your time in solving unnecessary parts. Reality is examiner do not pay attention to unnecessary parts of your sum. You always pay attention to what has asked and what is written by the student. And one more thing, whenever you practice any sum, what you do is when you read the question, do not directly jump to the answer. First, think it, what the question is asked. Calculate in your brain. Take the calculators and try it. Then put it on a paper to gain confidence. If you are directly jumping while practicing, if you are directly jumping to the answer, then your brain is not working over there. You have already seen the answer, then why your brain will be working? You know that you have already seen the procedure of the answer, and then if you practice, that's not a practice. That's a simply copy paste. It's already stored in your mind and you are just copy pasting it. That won't help you in the examination hall. While attempting question also, be little bit conceptually attentive. Continuously brainstorm what has been asked and how I should write, how should I present. It is important to verify the calculations also. Whenever you write a practical sum, make sure that try 1 to 2 times that your calculation is correct. Even if a little point or little thing is also missing, your whole sum would be wrong, because I have already told that even if a starting of the sum is wrong and if that practical sum has impact on the remaining parts of the question, then your total 8 marks will be lost. So, be conceptually attentive at from the very beginning itself. It's not that your ending is correct, I have done this middle part correct, so why will examiner deduct marks for the part which I have done correct? It's not correct, because the first part is wrong, it has affected your middle part and last part. Everything is wrong, you get 0 marks. Do not. That's why a student who expects 80 get 35 because of this. They do these silly minor mistakes and come and they feel like, no, I have done it correct. So try practicing maximum so that you avoid all these mistakes in the examination hall. How to retain maximum for exams? These are the 7 things, if you keep in your mind, you can retain maximum for your exams. The first thing, repetition, reading, writing, organize, teach someone, be always consistent. Here even this has come, consistent. And I have already told earlier that this is the key to success. Mnemonics, practice. I always tell students that instead of seeing the practical sum, let it be 5 minutes late, but practice it. When you put a paper and pen, then you have to think. If you just read, there's no need of thinking. A person can read without thinking, but a person cannot write without thinking. So repetition reading, if you want to remember anything like order of a story or anything, then you have to read the summary several times. For example, in an audit or anywhere a question has come that you have to remember point wise everything, then that points how you can remember is make a story in your mind that so and so person has gone so and so and these are the points. So when you continuously read that story again and again, it fits in your brain and there's no need to revise it again. The next thing is repetition writing. I tell students that one time writing is equal to 10 times reading. Just write when it comes to things like terms and spelling, keywords in audit or any keywords. Try to write it once on a paper so that you remember the keywords which are very important in the examination hall. Organize. If you there are points in an examination hall and if you are unable to remember the side headings, always organize them in an alphabetical order from A to A, B, C. So whenever you read A and C and you come to know that I have skipped the B one and you automatically remember what was that. So this is also also a different type of way where you can retain maximum for your exams. Teaching. Teaching is one of the best way to learn. Suppose whenever you explain, you might have seen that whenever you explain a chapter or a practical sum, when you solve a practical sum of your friends, then when it comes in the examination hall, you feel so happy that this is the sum I have taught you. This is the sum I told you that this is the procedure. This is the question I asked you in a phone call. So this teaching helps you very much in the examination hall, and if you don't have anyone to listen, like if you don't have any friend or a parent to listen, then simply stand in front of mirror and start teaching yourself. Whenever you teach anyone or tell or explain anything to anyone, that concept becomes strong and no doubt you cannot forget that in the examination hall. You can check it. So when there are a little breaks wherever you are studying or whenever you speak to a friend, just quickly ask him anything. Just quickly ask him auditing standard names or ask him anything MCQs, so that by revising this way you can understand that yes, we revised and we did that mistake and everything can be solved. And the next one is be consistent. I told no the person B who was very inconsistent, like today he went to gym for 2 hours, then he skipped next 2 hours next day. So don't slack and take days off unnecessarily. Keep on putting regular efforts. Make small targets and achieve them. Make small targets but make sure that they are completed. Do not make a long target which is not possible by you and you know that this is not possible, and simply don't sit on that and regret later that I have wasted my time. This each minute is very much important for you guys because you have very few time left for your exam. So you have to be very careful. Mnemonics. You can even retain maximum for your exams by following mnemonics like Vibgyor, Bodmas. How easily we can remember Vibgyor, the colors, easy. So you might heard a song also, a periodic table song. If you haven't seen that, you can see in the YouTube periodic table song how good it has sung. So when this way you are learning, you can easily grasp anything. Any theory or practical subject is also made easy if you learn in the systematic manner. It is not that simply you go on reading and you don't remember anything. If you want to remember anything, you have to put shortcuts for everything like mnemonics or teaching someone else something or the other. This will help you very much in your exam. Trust me, I in auditing, I know the standards points I used to not remember. So I used to write bat spill for SA 505, bat spill and all, because external confirmations, I couldn't remember all those things. So I used to jumble the words and which are the words which I feel that bat spill I can remember. So I used to put that way and I used to have the coding. So there are many ways where we can retain more. So try your best because each minute is very much important. Mnemonic example you can see here, miracles. For fraudulent financial reporting, if you want to remember all the points, it's very difficult. But now if I tell you miracles, you can easily write all these points. M for misapplication of accounting principles, intentional omission, whatsoever if you learn this way, like I told that I have learned that way standards. So this is also one of the way. You might not remember everything for fraudulent financial reporting. You might miss one point or other. But if you remember this miracle, you will write in examination hall or correctly. So this way a student can gain maximum in the examination hall. Language. Just look at this answer sheet for 1 minute. What do you observe in this answer sheet? If you can see that this answer sheet is very neatly presented and the points are very well written. They are underlined and written with an arrow. They are very good presented. You can, in theory subjects or any practical subjects where you have a theory, you can use your language. It's not that you have to write as it is, because no one can write as it is in the examination hall. You can use your language, but the keywords you have to not skip. You have to compulsorily mention the keywords and do not mention too much of the keywords which would confuse the examiner that what is the point written. No, if I am telling keywords, people will start writing all the keywords in the exam. No. Just what is asked in the examination hall, that much is enough. And many examiners judge the quality of your paper by just reading starting 2 lines and conclusion. He comes to know that yes, this person doesn't know the answer, so he has jumbled this way, that way. Or the person knows the answer, so he has neatly presented by writing the points and all. Always try to write theory answer in a point wise, like putting a bullet symbol and leave a gap between points, which is very helpful for the examiner to understand or bifurcate the matter which you have written. Do not simply write paras and come for theory, because he may skip some point. If you write bullet wise, he will come to know that these are the points and conclusion should be correct. Conclusion should be written that as per Companies Act or as per the provision contained in the Companies Act, ABC Private Limited should do this or shouldn't do this. You have to at least conclude your answer what is given in the question. Some students, without writing conclusion, they just write the provision and come. That's not correct. Only writing provision won't give you marks. You have to write conclusion for that. Start writing order wise, that bullet points, conclusion, provision, everything should be there in your sheet. Keywords in audit paper is very much important. It plays a very big role, because the checker just checks your keywords are present or not and the marks are allotted. So try to at least remember the keywords in papers. And do not write unnecessary things in the examination hall. I have already told you that students start writing paras and paras for a single line answer. It's not, even if you write, if it is a single line answer and it is 2 marks, then examiner will give you 2 marks. How much it is asked, that much only you write. You think that this question answer is of 4 marks, so I have to write 4 pages, I'll get 4 marks. It's completely wrong. Never the paper is corrected that way. Even 4 marks, if it is written in a 1 page and 4 points which are correct, you get 4 marks completely. It's not that if you write 4 pages, you will get some additional marks. Unnecessarily, you are wasting your time. Length. This is what I was telling you. Try to write short and accurate answer instead of writing pages and pages, which is not at all required. For this, you may take reference from suggested answers of ICAI. Now you may ask that how can we know that we have tried this much only or that much only? Then ICAI releases suggested answers for every attempt. Just open those suggested answers and see that how the answer has been written, how we should write. You can get a confidence from there that I have to write this much only. Whenever you start next point, give 1 line gap so that your way of presentation is very good. Now, way of presentation will always affect your marks, because do not write too clumsily that your handwriting is so clumsy that examiner doesn't understand anything. Write in a language where examiner can understand. I am not telling you to write neatly, slowly, but write in a way that a person can at least read. If you write in a like this handwriting and nothing is visible, then your whole hard work is going waste. Always remember that the smaller minor mistake will cost you 6 months. So thank you everyone. For any queries or any doubts, you can contact me on Instagram or LinkedIn. These both profiles I have, or you can ask CA test series. They will tell me the doubts which you have raised, or you can even mention in the comment section. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.